Today we're gonna do a sourdough starter together, and also I'm gonna show you how to take care of an already existing sourdough starter. And I've had this one alive since about January this year, so honestly you can keep sourdough starts alive forever and ever. Like, some people have starts from like hundreds of years old, so just been passed down the line. I take care of this one about once a week, so I feed it about once a week, but honestly it can stay in the fridge for months. Like, I've had friends keep theirs in the fridge for like a lot of months and they still are able to revive it and bring it back to life. So seriously, sourdough is so forgiving and it's so hard to kill, honestly. I've got a delicious fall candle going, and now we're ready to do my favorite thing in the whole world, sourdough. Okay, let's talk sourdough. So many people are so afraid of sourdough, and honestly, it's not that hard. Seriously, like, I was afraid of sourdough for like a couple years until I just dove right into it and I was able to get it down, and honestly now I'm like, why was I so afraid? It's so easy. I bake with mine about once a week, and I've had this guy, like I said, alive since January. So really, it's not hard at all to maintain a healthy sourdough starter. Sometimes I actually talk to it because I love it so much. Yeah, this is like my little friend right here. I love it. So I named her Willow, by the way. So me and Willow are best friends, aren't we? Anyways, so we're going to talk about sourdough starters. Okay, so when I first started this one, I used about a half a cup of flour and a half cup of water. And no, I did not, I measured the flour, but I did not measure the water. Honestly, it's all about what it looks like, and it doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to be afraid of like the proportions. Just make sure that it's a little bit like a thick pancake or waffle batter. Thicker than that, just a little bit thicker. But honestly, if you get a time where it was like a little bit more liquidy or a little bit on the thicker side, you're not gonna kill it. It's gonna be just fine. Feed it the next day, feed it the next week, and get the consistency right. It will be fine. Once you start doing sourdough, you will totally understand what the sourdough should look like. So I'm gonna show you today how I do how I feed my sourdough, and then you can see exactly what it's supposed to look like. Also, I want to clarify that in the beginning, when you're starting your sourdough starter, you do have to be consistent every single day for about 7 to 10 days straight. And then even some people recommend like three weeks straight. And I think with this one, I think I did probably about 3 weeks of every day. And you don't have to worry about the discard going to waste. You can make crackers, you can make cookies, you can do all sorts of fun recipes with the discard, so you don't feel like you're wasting your sourdough starts, and so you don't feel like it's just going down the drain. But in the beginning, when you're doing your sourdough start, when you're first off making a sourdough start from scratch, you do have to measure the ingredients out. I do about a half cup of flour and a half cup of water, and then I mix it together, and that's just to get it started. And then once about 10 days rolls by, then you can start just like eyeballing the water. But note that in the beginning of a sourdough start, it will smell funky, like all sorts of funkiness. Like, it will smell like acetone, like fingernail polish remover. It can smell just not like you would think, this is not right, I cannot bake with this. This smells so horrible. That's just for a very small, short amount of time. You just give it time and it starts smelling normal. It starts smelling yeasty, like sourdough should smell like sour. And then don't worry, don't panic, that passes. So just keep with it and you will have beautiful sourdough start. Like this one literally smelled so bad. I was like, there's no way I could bake with this. And here we are, and it smells really good. Like, I wish you could smell this little guy. Okay, I want you to notice this has not been fed for about 2 weeks. It's been sitting in my fridge for about 2 weeks. So you can kind of tell that there's this grayish liquid, and that is totally okay and it's totally normal. If you don't want sourdough bread to be super sour, then you just dump off the liquid in the sink, the grayish liquid, and then you stir it up, and then you can go from there and dump out half and then add in the flour and water. But I found that the liquid honestly doesn't make it super sour. It makes my dough the perfect amount of sour. I don't like super strong, but I feel like it does such a good job at just having a very mild sour flavor. But if you like extra sour, then just keep the liquid. Every time that you're feeding it, keep the liquid, which I usually do, but I'm gonna keep the liquid, and we're gonna go ahead and stir it down. And today I'm gonna be saving my discard in this bowl to make bread with it tomorrow. All right, I'm gonna be dumping out about half. So I have a rubber band on so I can kind of tell where my half line mark is, and it is about halfway. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I feed it. A half cup total of flour into about a half cup of sourdough start. And honestly, you can do anywhere from like a tablespoon to like a half cup. It just depends on how much sourdough you want to start up for bread baking or whatever recipe you're about to do. So I like to just stir it up a little bit, and then I'm going to, from there, add my water. Now, I've heard that you should use purified water, but I've heard from so many people that they just use their tap water because people have said that the chlorine water can hurt your sourdough start, but I've had so many people successfully use just normal tap water. So don't be afraid, use what you have, but I do have my purified water right here from the fridge. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like after I've added a little bit of water. Okay, I've just added some water and I didn't measure it out. I just slowly add some in and then I watch for the consistency. So I'm just gonna stir this in. And you wanna look for a thick pancake and waffle batter. Once you have a healthy and mature start, you can go ahead and do your feedings to a 1-1-1 ratio, meaning you can do, say in this instance, I do a half cup of sourdough discard, a half a cup of flour, and about a half cup of water. And that's all you need to keep your starter going on forever and ever and ever. Okay, here is what she looks like after I've added the water. Just very thick pancake waffle-like mixture. Okay, if you get a little bit on the liquidier side or on the thicker side, seriously don't worry, it will be just fine. And then from here I'm just gonna put a lid on and let it sit overnight to kind of activate because it's been in the fridge for a couple weeks. And then I will see what she does tomorrow, and depending on what she looks like tomorrow morning, I might just go ahead and use her in my recipe, or if she needs a little bit more help, then I'll feed her first thing in the morning and get her nice and bubbly and active for my recipe tomorrow. Okay, let me know in the comments if you have any questions about your sourdough. I will be happy to try and help you figure out or troubleshoot any issues that you're having. This is one of my most favorite things to bake with sourdough. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more recipes. See you next time.